This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with none other than the longest reigning and the only three-time Canadian champion in Great North Wrestling history, Black Dynamite, Jeremy Prophet, who is not only the Great North Wrestling Canadian champion, but he's held tons of titles. Maybe let's start off by you telling us all the titles you've held.
If I start off by telling you all the titles that I've won, we're going to run out of time and nobody's going to watch this. Easily over 40 championships throughout my 16-year career. But that's neither here, there, or anywhere, because the one that matters the most is the one right here over my shoulder, the Great North Wrestling Canadian Championship, the one I am most proud to have held 3 times and to also be the longest reigning champion.
Yeah, I believe your 2012-ish reign was your longest, 2011, 2012, but because of COVID, this latest reign, you've had that title since what, February 2020 or 2021 now?
Yeah, a lot longer than I've had defenses, let's just say, because
Yeah.
there's been a lot of inactivity. So if you want to chalk it up to years, I mean, I beat Wes Briscoe. I think it was in 2019, towards the tail end. So yeah, it's been closing in on 3 years.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot it was actually 2019 where you won that title on the show that Bloodhunter wrestled Haku on. Now that in Rockland, where we hope to be back later this year. And another thing that you accomplished is you also backed down Kevin Owens in a dressing room altercation, much the same way I guess CM Punk backed him down in Ring of Honor. What are your thoughts on your old buddy getting this opportunity to interview Steve Austin at WrestleMania this year?
Well, I wouldn't really call him an old buddy of mine. I don't think we've ever been friends. I don't think we've been bitter enemies. We just had that one altercation. What do I think about him interviewing Austin? Good for him. That's what WWE wants to put out. That's what they want to do. Good on him. If they feel him and Austin is the best direction to go in, what do I have to say? I mean, I'm going to watch WrestleMania anyways. It's part of the job to study the competition, see what's going on in the wrestling game, and stay up to speed. Am I that interested in seeing it? Not really. But then again, that's a lot of the programming that they put out these days anyway. So it's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like they're trying to build this as if Steve Austin hasn't appeared in 20 years, but he's done many interview segments on Raw and other shows over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not like he's going to wrestle anyways. He's going to go in, maybe do a few boots, give him a stunner, and that's pretty much it. Drink a lot of beers, and that's all.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing that originally it was going to be, there was talk that Austin was actually going to wrestle, and now it's not. And then it was looking like Vince McMahon was also going to wrestle, but now it's not looking like that's going to happen either. So it's very kind of a blah WrestleMania to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to rely a lot on the celebrities. They're bringing in Johnny Knoxville. They're bringing in, Steve Austin to do his thing, Ronda Rousey. So it just seems like they're trying to use star power, but it's a short-term fix. It's not a long-term solution. There's the guys who have been working day in, day out, the guys who are on the road doing the work all the time, and they're kind of, being treated like second-class citizens so that these other guys can come in, wrestle one day, get a big payday, and then go back to what they're normally doing and just, use WWE as a stepping stone. So that's one of the things I don't really like about Mania is that, there's a lot of part-timers that are going in there, taking away paychecks from the guys who put in the work day in, day out.
There's a fan on here that's obviously followed your Quebec stuff. He's wondering when your Black Quebecois faction is returning.
We're actually going to be wrestling April 23rd. We're going to be defending our newly won IWS Tag Team Championships. The Black Quebecois, myself, Black Dynamite, Jeremy Prophet, and the Big Black Beast, Carl Jepson. Hell of a tag team, best tag team, I'd say, in the entire country right now. And if you don't like it, well, hey, I dare any team to step up and try to prove me wrong.
Now, your last Great North Wrestling title defense was against Speedball Mike Bailey, who you defeated not only in a mixed tag with Jessica Black, who, by the way, Jessica Black's going to be wrestling Jenny Santana on our September 3rd Petawawa event. We don't know your opponent yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a good one. But you defeated Mike Bailey, and now he's signed with Impact, and he's on some big shows, WrestleMania weekend, doing great. When are we going to see you go to the next level? Has there been any talk?
It's always on my mind. It's always a work in progress. I think you and I both know I have the skills to be there, whether it be on a microphone, whether it be in a ring, whether it be just on appearance alone. I think that it's about time that I reach the big time. But as you know, it's a game of who you know, who you're friends with. You know, it's one of those things where I could be the most talented guy in the world, but if the guy who's running the show is more amused by some other guy being in his locker room or someone else's friends of friends, that's really the politics of the game. But what I'm looking at right now to get me to that next level is Wrestling Academy with Jacques Rougeau. It's kind of like a reality show that he's doing. I know you've had him on the channel here a few times, and he's actually doing something good for wrestlers all across Canada, taking the 40 of them and giving them the opportunity to compete. There's going to be eliminations after every show, and then the final 4 win a $5,000 cash prize, $5,000 each, and also get the opportunity to go for 3 months to the Nightmare Factory and train there. And that's thanks to QT Marshall being so gracious to provide us with that opportunity. And like I've said, I'm taking this very seriously. And I do think I'm the odds-on favorite, not just because I say it, but because just take a look, scrutinize it for yourself, see what my abilities are.
Well, look at the title in the background. That says something.
Exactly. You don't become Canadian champion just by being, some bum off the street. Okay. I back up what I say. I talk a big game, but I back up every single word. And when it comes down to looking at me, my body of work, my physical body, the way I speak, I always deliver. So I do think I'm the odds-on favorite. And it's like I've told Jacques, and it's like I've said all along. Look, that contest ends. I'm your winner. I could be on the plane going down to Atlanta the next day. I got my passport. It's good till 2025. I've been ready for this yesterday. I don't need to prepare and, get in shape and all. I am in shape all the time. I'm always raring to go. If you see me in action, you know that I always deliver. So I'm looking at this competition as just one little stepping stone to get me to where I should rightfully be. And then once I'm under the right spotlight, people will see what Jeremy Prophet has to offer. And then it's about time that I teach a lesson to those guys on TV, those top guys, the Kenny Omegas, the Hangman Pages, the whoever it might be, whoever the new flavor of the month is in AEW. I got my eyes set on going right to the top, not someone who's going to kind of fit in and learn and be a little snowflake. No, I'm gunning for the top because I know I have the skills to be there, and I know it's been a long time coming.
For sure. And I just reported on it. Jacques actually in fairly serious condition right now. It looks like he could be in the hospital for more than 3 weeks. Thyroid issues, kidney stones, and extremely high blood pressure. But he says he's going to keep going on with the Lucha Academy show as long as he doesn't die. Yeah. So have you heard anything further about this condition? I'm shocked that it hasn't made more of the news, but for some reason, everyone, like, he's not in the Hall of Fame. For some reason, a lot of people turn their back on Jacques for whatever reason. And if this had been someone else, it would be all over a major story.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to him today. He was in good spirits. Obviously, he's going through a lot of health issues. I don't want to embellish too much. I don't know how much he wants me to share. But yeah, he has had his fair share of tests that are being done. And a lot of them are kind of coming back inconclusive. So they have to do more testing from what he's told me. But he's in great spirits. He's optimistic. He's positive. He's going to get through this. Best case scenario, he hopes to be out by this weekend because he has a few appearances coming up that he'd like to be able to honor. So, I'm sending my thoughts and prayers his way because, like I said, Jacques is someone who I have a tremendous respect for. And he's one of the only people, if I can, be blunt for a moment, he's one of the few people here in Canada that actually had the balls to do something to try to help the next generation. So I wish him the speediest of recovery, sending tons of positivity his way. And, hopefully this will just be a little blip on the radar. And then it's, back on the road, back onto doing some good business and helping a lot of us out here in the country.
As far as Jacques' sons go, I mean, I think Cedric and Jean-Jacques, a.k.a. JJ, both had a lot of talent. They never really had the desire to make it. I know Cedric had his WWE tryout that I guess for whatever reason they didn't take him, even though he had all the potential in the world. What did you think of Jacques' kids as wrestlers that they all pretty much gave up wrestling, but I definitely think that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I mean, when I started training, Jacques' son JJ was wrestling pretty regularly. Cedric was half my size back then. I think he was only like 13 or 14 years old. And to see what he became, 6'5", 275 pounds, muscle. He was almost as big as you. And to see that potential, I thought for sure that yeah, they would have found a place for him in WWE. Second generation, that physique, athletic also. It was very surprising to me that Cedric didn't get chosen by them. But that's the politics game. I think it's all a case of timing, and I feel like maybe had he come along now, where WWE's hiring practices are a little bit different, and they're looking maybe to hire second generation people. They're looking to hire people who are great athletes and people who don't have the negative stigma of being on the independent scene, of picking up a lot of bad habits that they have to untrain out of people. I feel like his timing would have been better now. I'd almost go as far as to say, because I know the kid's still young, and I call him a kid, and obviously he's an adult. But I know Cedric, still being young, I'd even say he'd still have a chance if he decided tomorrow, hey, I'm going to give this wrestling thing another shot. And JJ, I knew him a bit. I never got to work with him, but he was also a great athlete. He, was doing 450s and backflips and all those kinds of things. They were both very talented. They both were super kind to me in my early days when I was training there. But definitely, I personally feel Cedric, I think there'd still be time for him. And I think he might have given up on this a little too soon.
Yeah, the one thing about Cedric is I don't know what he looks like now, but I guess around 2012 when he was still in his very early 20s, he had like the movie star good looks, and like I remember going into restaurants with him, and like I've got out with a lot of people that worked in bars a lot, but all the girls would literally be staring at Cedric, and like to me as like a wrestling promoter, that's the type of guy I'd want to hire. Like if he's nearly 300 pounds, 6'5", movie star good looks, I don't see why you wouldn't at least put him in NXT for a year or two and test him out, because he had star potential plus the Rougeau name.
Yeah. I think it speaks to a bigger problem, which was that it became this game of, well, if you're not wrestling on the independent scene, which this was the previous NXT, not the current NXT, but it became this game of if you're not a prominent name on the American independent scene, if you weren't wrestling for the PWG or Ring of Honor, GCW, Evolve, these were the areas that they were taking people from. So they kind of had this bit of an uppity nature that, like, if you don't wrestle for these places, it's because you're not good enough. And that means you're not a good independent wrestler, regardless of who your daddy was. Unfortunately, I think a lot of great wrestlers slipped through the cracks because it became so incestuous. And it was just, oh, well, this guy came from this place and he recommended this guy and this guy who's friends of this person, friends of this person. And in a lot of ways, they end up missing out on great talents that they just kind of, turned their nose up towards and said, oh, well, you're not an indie darling. So sorry, this isn't the place for you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's too bad guys like you don't get second looks by WWE. I know the last time they looked at you, they thought you looked too much like Kofi Kingston or something like that.
No, that was one of the first times when I dealt with John Laurinaitis. The second time it was kind of right around the start of NXT. It was 2012 when William Regal was doing a lot of the evaluations, and no, it's just that was just bad timing is what it all comes down to. I feel like I would have a lot to offer in any era for WWE. Just that the timing wasn't there. It became a lot of who and wrestling on the American independent scene, where they don't realize that it's very hard for a Canadian citizen to acquire the kind of entertainer's work visa that you'd need to be able to go there without having a company willing to put up the money and endorse you in the paperwork. It's just a lot of red tape. I mean, if anyone's heard any interview that I've done, I'm sure I've said it a million times over, but there was a prejudice that was there against international talent, unless you happen to maybe be from the UK, where they had an NXT UK and they could kind of bridge that gap. But Canadians have it the worst because they just consider like we're part of the United States, and if we're not in the big name companies, which 99% of the time would mean we'd have to go there illegally, like as if we were like someone from Mexico trying to jump the border to go, work in whatever industry. The same laws apply to us as professional wrestlers coming from Canada going to work there. So they don't realize that us not being in those companies has little to do with our talent level, but a lot to do with the legalities and those kinds of hurdles that are in our way of getting there. So I think they misjudged us, and a lot of great Canadians probably missed out on going to WWE. And who knows, a lot of these guys could have been, I could have been waiting around for my Hall of Fame ring right now had that not been in place and had they had a better understanding. But it is what it is.
Yeah, either you got to sneak across or you got to work for free, like I was doing, and make money through YouTube and stuff. And a lot of people like Jim Cornette bash me for working for free, but it's the only way to get the U.S. exposure without the $12,000 work visa.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and let's face it. I mean, we've done well for ourselves, you and I. We worked, we've earned money. We could probably do that and go and work for free. But for the average person working the independent scene, they don't have the cash to be able to do that. That's a huge expense going just on the promise and the hope that you're going to get hired. And not only that, I mean, I've had issues at the border where they say, like, hey, you're going there. Even just you being there on the card means that you're taking a job away from an American citizen. Like I said, I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face. It's something I'm very passionate about. Wrote an article, 2-page spread in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It's on most of my socials if you want to, see what issue it's in and whatnot. So I've been very outspoken about it, fighting for Canadians, fighting for our rightful spot in the professional wrestling world so that people know, hey, just because you haven't heard about this great wrestler from Canada because he doesn't wrestle on the American independent scene doesn't mean that this guy's not killing it many times over, probably better than your favorite wrestler in his own country. I look at it like the Olympics. Why can't wrestling be like the Olympics, where if you're the best in your country, then you should be able to go showcase those skills against the best in the world. But I don't have any self-doubt or any sense of, those guys I see on TV are better than me. No, they've just had opportunities. They've just, had more silver spoons shoved down their throat. That's all it is. People will see. When I win Wrestling Academy, when I go down to the Nightmare Factory, it's going to open a lot of eyes. And I think that, we need someone to kind of be like that Jackie Robinson of Canada, so they can say, wow, how has there been a talent like this that goes undiscovered? How have we not heard about this guy? And believe me, to all you people who watch this interview, whether watching it live or watching it in perpetuity, you're going to see Jeremy Prophet is going to be that person where people are going to just say, wow, how could we have not discovered a wrestler this good? I'll tell you, the reason is because we got it real tough here in Canada and we don't get the same kind of exposure. But look me up. Look at the things I do. Look at how I talk, how I look, how I perform, all the things that I can do. Find me another wrestler. Fill up the comment section. Find me another wrestler that does all the things I do as well as I do. And then tell me, where are the scouts? Where is this so-called scouting in professional wrestling that I'm here in Canada and you got guys who can barely run the ropes properly who are making 6 figures on TV?
Yeah, and there's someone commenting, how did Sammy and KO make it in the US? I don't know if they started with work visas or if they started by just going without work visas, and Ring of Honor eventually got them for them. But Mike Bailey was also going and getting popular like 6 years ago. And then something happened to him at the border where he was banned from the US for 5 years because he was caught. So you're running a risk, but you might know more on the situation with Kevin and Sammy, how they were getting across.
Well, like I said at the start of this, Kevin and Sammy weren't ever really my friends. I've only worked one match with Sammy ever, and I was in 3 matches, I guess, with Kevin, but we teamed in we teamed, I think, in 2 of those, and only fought in 1. No, actually, no, I got that wrong. We teamed in 1, we fought in 2. So it's not like these guys, I was seeing them regularly. They were kind of doing their own things. I don't know if they had work visas. I don't think they did at first because they were working for Ring of Honor without a contract when they first started. PWG wasn't getting anyone work visas. So unless, they want to say otherwise, I would say that a lot of their work, and I think it started with CZW and right up until they got signed to Ring of Honor, I'm pretty sure they did all that without a work visa. So, illegally. One of them under a mask.
Yeah, it is a bit easier under a mask, especially if you don't look like a wrestler when you're Sammy's size, because if you're on the poster or whatever, they won't necessarily know that it's you for the mask. But somebody's asking you about your opinion of AJ Styles, who I once pinned
Yep.
2 times in one night, and I believe you were also on that card.
I was, yeah. I've been on 3 events with AJ Styles. I got a tremendous amount of respect for him, and a lot of that comes from the fact that he put up one hell of a fight against you, a fight worthy of Jeremy Prophet himself, the man who's been in that ring with you, I think, about 16 to 20 times. Let me just readjust the championship here. I'll just put it right here. But yeah, AJ, I mean, he had some balls. He was in there. He fought his ass off. I dare say I don't think many people who currently hold the WWE contract would have been able to put up that kind of a fight against you. So I'll always have a tremendous amount of respect for AJ because of that.
And now supposedly he's making $3 million a year. What's your opinion on the whole Cody Rhodes situation? He's supposedly signed for around $3 million a year as well.
Yeah, I think Cody, if he does end up going to WWE, which they've done a great job of keeping us all in the dark, if he does end up going, then good on him. He managed to reinvent himself, make himself more marketable, make himself more valuable. I've enjoyed Cody. I enjoyed Cody's entire run in AEW. I think Cody's an underrated performer, and I think he's underrated on the mic as well. And I think that if he can go back to WWE, regardless of what they do with him, he's making that money. So good on him. And I wish him all the best. Actually, who knows? Maybe down the road, he and I will share a ring together, and it'll be a hell of a fight.
Well, a lot of people don't know. I was actually supposed to wrestle Cody Rhodes back in August of 2018. That's why we had that whole Great North Wrestling show booked on a Sunday, which I think was the only Sunday show we ever did, was because of Cody's schedule. But unfortunately, he had an Arrow job pop up that I don't blame him for taking the acting job. But it would have been interesting had he wrestled me that night because I think the match would have been really good, actually.
I think so too. And oftentimes I tell people, I think when it comes to wrestling, you are the measuring stick for how tough a wrestler is or how tough a wrestler may think he is. And again, I speak from having done, 15 to 16 matches with you, somehow survived to be able to tell it. But I always say, when people ask me, who's the toughest person I've been in the ring with, it's Hannibal. I don't even have to think about it. And I've been in the ring with some killers in there. I've been in there with, Bobby Lashley, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Scott Steiner on 3 occasions. And you, my friend, put them all to shame with the amount of ferocity and aggression that you bring to every match. That anyone who, thinks they're tough or wants to portray themselves that way, I say, okay, go have a couple of matches with Hannibal. And trust me, that will be a trial by fire. That'll be a baptism of a whole different level. So that is my compliment to you and to what you bring to this game of professional wrestling.
Well, apparently, practically the whole United States is afraid of wrestling me now, other than a guy like Charlie Haas, who is a top-level NCAA wrestler and still trains hard. So there's a handful of people that still have the guts to get in the ring with me. So I commend people like Haas for willing to do that. There's a fan on here that would like to know if they were to search you up on YouTube for one match, what match would that be that you would suggest that they search you up for?
Go see the one with me and Speedball Mike Bailey from GNW, the one-on-one. That'd be a pretty accurate representation of what I bring to the table. So check it out, make your own decisions, and you'll see exactly what I'm all about.
And you've been going out with a diva for numerous years now, Jessica Black. How do you find that situation? I know she's very down to earth, but as I found out, it's not always fun going out with other people in the business.
No, I think it's great. I think that wrestling has always been my first love. So it only makes sense that, I'd be with somebody in the wrestling business, somebody that can come to the shows with me, somebody that I've always said when it comes to our matches that we do together, like the mixed tag that we did, which you can also see right on this very same channel from the last Great North Wrestling event. She's my best partner in the ring and out of the ring. And so, we kind of think alike. Our favorite thing to do is wrestling, so when it comes down to it, I couldn't see myself with anybody else. It's a perfect match, and I think it shows with our in-ring chemistry.
Yeah, and for fans didn't hear it earlier, she will be taking on Jenny Santana September 3rd in Petawawa, which is in the Ottawa Valley. And Jenny Santana is going to be part of this new women's promotion that's starting up in Vegas in May that the Hannibal TV is going to have some involvement with. And we'll talk about that more as time goes on. But we may actually see numerous women from that promotion compete in Great North Wrestling.
And
Where
I'll let you know, Jessica's very interested in being a part of that. So she kind of, before I came on the air here with you, she asked me to put in a word. So that's me putting in the word to you, big man.
your co-host on here, Joe Foe, says, "What are your thoughts on Dan Lambert saying on Dynamite that Ethan Page is the best thing to come out of Canada?" Oh my God, that is very insulting.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
even know who Dan Lambert is.
yeah. Well, he's the owner and creator, I think, of American Top Team, and he's been doing a manager's stint on AEW. So when he's not actually defecating on the entire body of work of all the great talents here in Canada, going all the way back as far back, because that comment kind of defecates on the Hart's legacy. It defecates on you and I, but I mean we're cogs in the machine here.
Mad
But
Dog
every great,
Vachon, who's my
yeah,
favorite Canadian wrestler, an Olympian, and one of the toughest guys ever in wrestling, right up there
yeah.
with Aku.
See, I don't get agitated by these kinds of things because ignorance will always exist. So when it comes down to it, the guy is just a character on TV saying something to get heat. So it's all good. I'm not moved by the opinions of sheep. When you live your life as a lion, it ain't going to be a sheep doing a little bah here and there that's going to throw you off your game. They'll see what I'm all about. Look, I'm headed to that Nightmare Factory. Wrestling Academy is going to take me there, and they're going to see what I'm all about, and they're going to say, "Wow, how have we not seen a talent this good?" And I will be living proof. I will be the litmus test that Canadian wrestling has been treated like a second class citizen. It's like I've said in all my interviews, and people get all up in arms because it sounds shocking, but Canadian wrestling is treated like the Negro Leagues of baseball. So, this is where we need Jackie Robinson to come along, break that barrier, and show people we got tons of great talent here, just that the scouts have been absolutely piss poor for as long as I can remember. So, we need to change the game. That's what I'm all about.
Yes, well, there are some that watch this channel from time to time. I do know that. Mitch Miller wants to know who inspired you growing up to become a pro wrestler.
Yeah, it was Bret Hart. From the first match that I saw, Bret Hart against Blake Beverly, made me want to be a professional wrestler. I've always said, at that same time period, had I turned on the TV and had the match been, the TL Hopper against Bastion Booger, I would have probably said this wrestling stuff. This is stupid. But I happened to see Bret, and it's made me want to do this. And that's pretty much how the legacy began, and the rest is still unwritten.
Did you ever meet Brett?
I did. I met Bret on a few occasions, mostly when I had WWE tryouts. So I had met him in 2010 when I had a tryout in Toronto, and that was the first time. And then I met him here in Montreal. It was the night that Jerry Lawler had his heart attack. Bret Hart was also there for I think he did a segment on the show, but he was also there for the Pat Patterson appreciation. So I got to meet him on 2 occasions, and it was fun to get to talk to him. I literally told him that he inspired me to be a wrestling fan and then to become a professional wrestler myself. So yeah, Bret has always been an important part of my legacy and important legacy that I want to create. And a very big influence on my ring work. I want to be the same thing that Bret Hart was, remembered as a guy who was a total professional, always took care of the people that he was in there with, and always made the people get their money's worth when they saw him perform. Bret really was the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And yeah, I hope to carry on that same legacy here in Canada.
Yes, and I really hope that you get some more exposure. Maybe I do think with Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor, it depends. I don't know what your opinion is on this, but if he just like uses AEW wrestlers to do Ring of Honor shows, it's not going to be that great. But if he has like a whole Ring of Honor development system and hires a bunch of new wrestlers, I think that would open the door for people like you, because that's a lot of spots to fill if he's going to start an entire new company. But so far, it seems like it's AEW guys.
Absolutely. And I mean, Tony Khan, I've been following the moves that he's been making, and definitely AEW, Ring of Honor, that whole orbit I have in my sights, especially with the connection with Wrestling Academy and the Nightmare Factory. It seems like a natural progression. See, I'm not one of these guys who, is friends with everybody in the backstage. Yeah, I know a couple people there. There's some of them that I talk to on the regular because we were friends from the independent scene. But when it comes down to it, I just want the same level playing field they have over there. As a Canadian, I can't go wrestle in the United States legally without going through a lot of red tape. But I tell you this, and if there's one thing I say in this entire interview, and if maybe Tony Khan happens to be listening, or QT Marshall, or anyone affiliated with AEW, it's this. If Jeremy Prophet were given the same level playing field as any one of them crumb bums on the American independent scene that happen to just be born on the right side of the border, trust me, I would already be an investment worth making that will return dividends a millionfold. It's just that I haven't been given that opportunity. But give me the same opportunity as everybody else and watch the kind of magic that I'd be able to do. I know it. I have no insecurity about it. This is what I've been working for my entire career. So once that opportunity comes, hell, I've been ready for that opportunity since years ago. So when I get it, I will make the most of it, and you will not be disappointed. I guarantee it.
The Ragu Overlord or Raggy, I don't know. I don't have my glasses on. Wants to know what are your thoughts on? Oh, sorry. This is a stupid question. It wasn't the one I wanted.
I wish I knew the character. I'll maybe I'll Google it and I'll see who he is.
This is the one I wanted to click on. Your thoughts on Lanny Poffo burying you in interviews? Yes, Lanny, who used to like us before he let Macho Man in the Hall of Fame, and now, from what I understand, he gets all the WWE residuals, so he doesn't need us anymore for jobs. So,
Lanny, God bless his soul. I don't got anything bad to say about Lanny. We had some good matches. We had some fun road trips. I don't get it. I mean, if the man wants to hate me, he can keep hating me. Okay, I'll still be able to sleep at night. When it comes down to it, Lanny, I would figure he'd have bigger problems than hating on people, just trying to make it, trying to have a similar career like he had, being able to make it to the dance, to the highest level of professional sports. So it's one of those questions I get asked a lot, and I'm just like, look, Lanny can hate me all he wants. I'll love this guy till the day he dies. Lanny's a good dude. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I think it goes back to I did an interview with you, and I can't even remember if it's still up or not. But you told the story of when you were alone in a car with him, and he wanted to open up to you about his talent of doing his auto fellatio, and you were just like, "This is something unique to talk about when you're on the road by yourself."
It was really awkward. I'll tell you, it was awkward, but like whatever. It's not the most awkward thing someone said to me, and he's talked about it in interviews and stuff. So I don't get it. It's when it comes down to it, Lanny can think what he wants of me. It's not really going to affect me that much. God bless him, is what I say. Let him think whatever he wants. Not going to faze me one bit.
I believe he lives in Ecuador now for some reason. God bless him. He could stay there, and I'll be happy if I never have to see him again. But I do appreciate the poems that he did write for me that I proceeded to pretend that I had written for various girls.
Oh.
I do miss his friendship for that, because I can tell you his poems worked for me. I got laid every time.
I remember when he did that poem on the back of a magazine. You remember that?
For us, or just?
Yeah, I think it might have been against me. And I said to him, "Hey, are you going to do a poem? Is there a poem that you're gonna write it out and whatever?" And I think he wrote it on the back of a magazine a couple seconds before a match.
Yeah, I still remember the when you were going out with one of the women's wrestler in New Brunswick, and he had a crush on the friend.
Yeah,
that was hitting on her in a gentlemanly manner for the entire 2 or 3 days, even though she was 30 years younger than him. But he tried his best to charm her.
Hey, if you never step up to the plate, you'll never hit the home run.
Now it would take you a 3-hour interview to go into the details of this, but Mike is curious to know your feedback after your first, second, and third WWE tryouts, which
Yeah.
again, the Cole's Notes version, if you want to answer that.
Yeah. First one went down to Florida for a week, and everything was fantastic. Flying colors. I have it somewhere, like the one in writing, and they complimented everything. They just said maybe you could add some size. That was, I think, one of the only negatives, just like add some size. But it was all like amazing. I thought they were going to hire me. Then there was the second one, which was in 2010, where I actually did a match on TV against Kurt Hawkins and Lance Archer. And again, like they loved the match. Had gotten in earlier with Jamie Noble. We did some work. That all went well. Just no hearing back from them. And then the third one was 2012, and the feedback from William Regal was just to work on my footwork. They loved my promo work. Matt Stryker loved it. Even Regal put it over. Said I could talk with the best of them that they had in FCW, which would soon be NXT, just to work on my footwork. And then there was the overall, like, get yourself out there, get booked in, bigger places. And, once you've built up a name on the independent scene, come back and see us. So that was the feedback 1, 2, and 3 with WWE. And, I'll be honest, I became a little disenchanted, a little disenfranchised with WWE. So I kind of took my attention away from there because I saw they were just giving opportunities to people from the American independent scene that we didn't have access to. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a snake chasing its own tail, just going in a vicious circle. So until someone would break the cycle and change the game, there wasn't going to be much forward movement.
And at one point, Nova, who used to be the head of development talent, after he was replaced, he was actually trying to help you when you were getting some of those tryouts, wasn't he? He took a liking to you. And I
Yeah,
bring him up because he was on this channel recently.
Yeah, I'd actually love to get back in touch with him. Nova, Mike Bucci was one of the first people. He just saw me walking out of the dressing room, and he said that he wanted to help me out. He asked me for all my information, said he would get it to WWE, to Ty Bailey, who was one of their main scouts at the time, and from there he was the one who was able to help facilitate me getting that week-long tryout. And we would speak on the phone. He would give me advice. He gave me tons of advice before I went there. I think he's one of the main reasons why I aced it. And I always appreciated that he had my back. Very few people. I like to say I'm a self-made man, and I feel because this struggle has been ongoing, and I've not been someone who's relied on politics and kissing ass and these kinds of things. I've just been about going in there doing hard work. It's like I always say, I'm good at almost everything, just about everything in wrestling, except being a politician, because I'd rather make it on my own merit than make it on friends and on kissing ass and on having anyone say that they were the kingmakers, they were the ones that put me on the throne, to be able to have that over me. So he was someone who's one of the few who gave me the advice, who helped open a door or two. He helped. Sylvain Grenier helped a little bit as well, with showing me what WWE was looking for when I trained at his school. Pat Patterson was also very helpful. I still feel to this day when John Laurinaitis said to me, what makes you think you're so good? Had I answered him, well, hey, how about we walk down the hall and let's ask Pat Patterson? It would have been done deal right there on the spot. Jeremy Prophet, 23 years old in WWE. But, it's all that to say a lot of companies, they've left money on the table. So eventually someone's going to come along and pick it up. Look, 16 years of doing this, still beautiful, never had an injury, never took a day off. And that's a fact. So, I'm just built to do this, and I'm going to keep on doing it till the wheels fall off.
Very interesting. And as far as your dream opponent in WWE and AEW, who would it be in each company?
I get asked this a lot. I guess in WWE, it's the answer would be AJ Styles. Again, like I said earlier, I have a tremendous respect for him. I think we match up well against each other. We're roughly the same size, very athletic, aggressive too. It's one of the things I appreciate about AJ is he's the kind of guy that, yeah, WWE has guys that can do all the same moves as him and better, but AJ's got that aggression, that willingness to fight, that that we saw like in your match with him. And I really wish I would have got a match with him too. But I enjoy watching his work, and I think that he would be someone that would match up really well against me. In AEW, without a doubt, it would be Chris Jericho. We have a long history going way back. Jericho was one of my main inspirations. Had the chance to meet him on a couple of occasions, and he's always been someone who, again, I think I just match up really well against him on a microphone and in the ring. And I think that Chris has he likes working with guys who think highly of him, who were inspired by him. I saw his stuff he did with MJF and, with a lot of these other wrestlers in AEW. I'd like to take a crack at Jericho, but it would be similar yet different because I think I bring a different fight than those guys. I think I'm willing to go to a much darker, more vicious kind of place. And it's not going to be like a cutesy little, song and dance just to get ratings. It could be something that could be a lot darker, a lot meaner, and a lot more real. That's what I'm about. I'm the harbinger of truth, the reiterator of reality. So, if it's out there in the world and it's real, let's bring it to the table and let's make money doing it. So, Jericho would be the go-to guy. And since I am the recipient of the 2020 Jericho Award, who better than me and Chris Jericho? Let's make some money, Chris.
And for those that haven't heard about that, which you did talk about a couple interviews ago, what was that Jericho Award that you won?
It was pretty much Jericho sponsoring me and endorsing me to train with Lance Storm. He footed the bill, he paid for it, and I got the opportunity to learn from one of the best Canadian wrestlers, one of the best minds in the business, Lance Storm. So I thank Chris for that. And like I said, I think what better way to put that to use than for me to use those skills that I learned and he paid for against him.
And now Lance Storm is an agent for Impact. Have you had any talks with Impact at all? They're a Canadian company, but they don't actually have that many Canadians on their roster.
No, I haven't had any kinds of talks with Impact, unless you count when I occasionally talk to Mike Bailey. No, haven't talked with them. Again, I like to. I saw someone put a comment on the screen about casting out a bunch of lines and hoping that you catch fish and whatnot. I don't have the door closed to Impact. I'd be glad to talk to them. I think I'd be a good fit in any company. I faced their X Division champion, Trey Miguel, a couple of months ago. Beat his ass up and down all over that arena and got the win. So, I think that was a hell of a match, hell of a fight. I can make money working with any of those guys in Impact, in AEW, anywhere. I could it just as easily be a commentator for one of these places and make it interesting. There's so much that I could do. There's no end to the versatility and the eclecticness of what I bring to the table with any of these companies. It's unlimited. I have unlimited potential that people are just not tapping into. But believe me, when it finally happens, everyone will know who I am and everyone will see that, wow, we got great wrestlers here in Canada. Because like I say, I'm just one of hundreds. We're like that untapped oil reserve that can, make sure that we keep the world running for another couple of years. Canadian wrestlers have always contributed to wrestling and have been some of the biggest stars. So we should be more prominent in these companies. Unfortunately, they're not looking at us, but I'm going to make them look at us or die trying.
Yeah, not only are you a high flyer, you can hit hard, you can brawl, you've got great cardio, you've got a good physique. But if nothing else, they should use you to make other people look good because that is one of your talents. You can take an average or subpar wrestler and make them look good with your skill, which really is a great skill to have as a wrestler.
Yeah, well, I pride myself on being the total package. I think my approach to wrestling is a bit different than most because a lot of people, they just stick to their strengths. Me, I want to improve my weaknesses while I make my strengths even stronger. That's what I tell to my students that I train at the FML dojo here in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec. Oh, I'm bilingual too, by the way. But with that said, I think that I can do so many things. I think I have so much to contribute to wrestling. Hell, they have agents for matches. Hell, I could be an agent for promos because I enjoy talking, and I think that I can help to get people to deliver the kind of message that'll actually draw money and not just talk for the sake of talking. I love what I do. I love professional wrestling. I live it 24 hours a day. I'd do it every single day if I could. And if the business hasn't broken me, if 15 plus matches with you hasn't broken me yet, somehow by the grace of God, I think I'm built for this. So I'm going to make the most of it, whether the big companies pay attention or not. I'm a pretty aggressive guy, so I'm going to make a lot of noise, and they're going to have to take notice. Someone is going to see this and say, there's something special about this guy, and if he can even deliver on half of what he's promising, then, this is really a star in the making. So I'm just waiting to have that same level playing field that all my American counterparts to the South have been given. And, just watch who runs to the finish line the fastest.
Someone wants to know what your signature move is. You've had a bunch of them, so I'm not even sure myself what it is this year.
So Yeah, I have a few signatures, but the problem is you have a lot of wrestlers. They do maybe the same 5 moves in the same order, and that's every one of their matches. You can go look it up on YouTube, and that's all you'll see. I like to consider myself the man of a million moves. So yeah, there are some things you'll see pretty often. I like kicks. I like fancy kicks. I actually started training in Taekwondo a couple of months ago, so I'm incorporating a lot of that into what I do. But I've always loved kicks, just trying to make them a little bit cleaner. Love moonsaults. 450 splash has been a staple of mine for many years. Love pile drivers, dives. I love just hard hitting. I love stuff that brings the aggression and the realism to wrestling because, no one wants to see the captain of the gymnastics team in there. You want to see someone that's going to hurt somebody, that's going to do some damage. So one of the things I always promise when you see me is violence above all else. And hey, if I'm in there having to contend with someone like you, I have to bring the violence or I'm going to get eaten alive. But the same goes for anyone that steps in there with me. I want them to realize they're in a fight first and foremost, no matter how, spectacular it might be. It's a fight. And that's what I want to deliver. And, the more real, the better.
Someone would like to know if you could pick one tag team partner, who would it be?
So it seems like they're asking in AEW and WWE. Hey, if I had to pick a partner, I'd actually pick you because I know that like we'd never lose a fight. You and I as a team, that would be unbeatable. I'm surprised it's never happened. We actually never teamed. Very surprised by that. But I think we would be unstoppable and could take out just about anyone in wrestling. Take out the Usos, take out the New Day, take out FTR. Whoever it might be, we could smoke them all. But if I had to choose from like AEW and WWE, I think AEW, I would love to team with the Machine Brian Cage. I have a tremendous respect for Brian Cage. The fact that he is an athlete with a great physique who has athleticism and power. I think that he's like the prototype for what a professional wrestler should be. Love Brian Cage's work. Big fan of his. In WWE, in WWE, I don't know. Probably. I don't want to say AJ Styles again, but I have tremendous respect for the man and what he does. So I think AJ would probably be a good partner.
Yeah, and he's done really well for himself in WWE for someone that didn't look like he would ever get in WWE at one point.
Yeah.
Mike wants to know, do you know 2.0 Jeff Parker and Matt Lee?
Oh, that gives me a good opportunity to plug my Twitter, where you can follow me at Jeremy Prophet. That's JeremyProphet. You can see I posted a picture on there of myself along with 2.0 Jeff Parker and Matt Lee, or Angelo Parker and Matt Menard, as I think they're known now. Wrestled against both of them, teamed with them. Actually had one of my favorite matches of my career with Parker. Who is oftentimes the unsung hero of that team. But Jeff Parker and I had a hell of a great match at IWS years ago. And I know those guys pretty well. Like I said, there's some people that I'm friends with in AEW, but I don't want to rely on friends to get me places. That's the easy way of doing things. I want to do things, not the easy way, but do things the right way. And if that means being a self-made man and, relying on my own merits, I got more than enough merits to do that. Just give me that same level playing field. We'll make it happen.
Yes, now I recognize who they're talking about, and that was, I know they had a lackluster WWE career, then they were picked up right away by AEW, but what bothered me about that is like they've had chances to really get over and they haven't really got over, let's be honest. And like there's a talent like you that still hasn't even been given one chance, and I'll be honest, you're way better than both of those guys. So it's sad just the way things work, but they probably already had work visas and they probably just got a work visa renew, so it was easier, or they had friends. But in wrestling, it's not always the talent that gets the job, unfortunately.
No, that's the unfortunate thing. It's not about being a good wrestler. Oftentimes it's about who you know. It's like Hollywood. I'm not jaded by the way the business goes. That's how it is. Am I looking to change it? Hell yeah, I'm looking to change it. I'm looking to be that Jackie Robinson that helps, to get us out of the dark days here in Canada. But when it comes down to it, I'm not going to hate on other people's opportunities that they've seized. They got families to feed. They got responsibilities. Responsibilities that I don't have. I don't have a family to feed. I don't have kids. I don't have any of those things. Professional wrestling is number one on my plate and always will be. But when it comes down to it, for me, I'm going to do things my way, and I want to blaze my own trail. I don't want to follow anyone's path, and that's just me as a human being. So I know that eventually, we'll look back on these. Maybe they'll make a Netflix documentary about my journey and whatnot. But I know once it's all said and done, people are going to say, Jeremy Prophet, he did things his way. He was like the Frank Sinatra of Canada. He did it his way and showed people that there is a better way. So I'm hoping that that will be my legacy.
I hope so. Mitch says you're cocky and confident. I
Okay.
have to ask you your thoughts on Virgil. I've posted a few interviews of Virgil on here lately, and he's been a hot topic on this channel.
Yeah. I have a Virgil story. Maybe I've told it here before. I don't know, but
I don't think so.
so I met Virgil 2 times. Now the second time was kind of uneventful. It was after I did my first set of WWE tryouts in actually not my first, but when I did my first TVs for Raw and SmackDown in 2010. He had been brought in to do a segment. I think they had brought him with Ted DiBiase Jr. to be like, to be kind of his Virgil, like he was for his dad. When we saw him at the hotel, we happened to be staying at the same hotel, and I just remember him being in the lobby for like 4 hours talking to some fans and some friends of mine. And yeah, it seemed like they were hanging on his every word. But the first time that I met Virgil, that one was a little more eventful because we were in, I want to say it was Coburg, Ontario. And we were actually going to do a show in St. Catharines, in Welland, Ontario, actually. So we were 4 guys in the car. We stop at just a stop on the road there. It's just like a truck stop. And I decided to go to the convenience store that they had there because I had a lottery ticket to cash. Bought a lottery ticket in Ontario last time I was there. Didn't know you couldn't cash it in Quebec. So finally had the opportunity to cash the ticket. I go in and this guy passes by me. Actually, I go to the back of the store, and as I'm going to the cash, this guy passes by me. It looks like Virgil. And I cash the ticket, and I see the guy goes into the bathroom. So I'm waiting because I'm almost sure it's Virgil. And then he comes out. I go up to him, and I'm like, "Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to bother you, but you look kind of familiar. Are you maybe like on TV or something?" And he's like, "Oh, well, maybe it's from professional wrestling. I've been doing that for the past 20 years of my life, or however long it was." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're Virgil, right? You were in the NWO. You were," and he's like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm Virgil. And then like he starts, carrying on, having small talk. And I'm like, "What are you doing in Coburg, Ontario?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm here with Ted DiBiase. He's preaching. He's at a religious convention." Because he was doing the whole preaching thing there that may or may not have been legitimate. But he's like, "Yeah," he's like, I got the $1 Million Man in the car with me. Come meet him." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." So he brings me out to the car. I go there. We go up to the window. DiBiase's in the passenger seat, and I'm kind of saying hi or whatever. He's totally no selling me. Totally not even so much as a look and a nod, nothing. And he's giving the signal to Virgil, pump the gas, and let's get out of here. And that was it. So that was my encounter with Virgil and the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, a typical religious minister there. Not even going to acknowledge you. Are you surprised that he was caught in that embezzlement scandal where he was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars of welfare money that was intended for the poor?
Oh, not at all. I mean, once a worker, always a worker. And from what I heard from a lot of people, I don't want to out anyone, but my good buddy and mentor, Too Cold Scorpio, he seemed to doubt the legitimacy of his neck injury and insurance claim with Lloyd's of London. So, like I said, once a worker, always a worker.
I'm pretty sure every single wrestler that got those Lloyd's of London policy cashed in. Nikita Koloff, Kurt Hennig, $1 Million Man, Animal did for a while. I mean, it seemed like Rick Rude. Yeah, they all cashed in on it.
Hey, you got to get a pension somehow. Vince isn't going to give it to you. By hook or by crook, you got to get that money.
Joe Foe in the Ring, your co-host over on your YouTube channel, wants to know your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I love Jeff Jarrett. He's another one that helped me out, almost similar to Mike Bucci to Nova. I did a tryout with TNA in 2011, and from the moment I got there, it was in Plattsburgh, New York. So I crossed the border from Montreal to get there, and he heard me do a promo, and he was really taken aback by me. And then he started asking me questions, and this is literally less than 5 minutes into the tryout. And Jeff always treated me well, and I really feel like if Jeff had had more power at that time in TNA, I would have had a spot there. That's why I say a lot of companies passed on this kind of money, just left it on the table, because easily, TNA, I think I could have been a great star over there for their X Division, hell, for their world title. I know how to sell a fight, and I know how to deliver. And I think those are the two main components that you need. You need to be a salesman and a delivery man at the same time. And I think I could have done a lot of good for TNA. I think I would have mixed in perfectly with the crop of talent that they had in 2011, which I think was one of the highest points in the company, when you had Hulk Hogan coming in with Eric Bischoff and their administration. Unfortunately, and you had the creative mind of Vince Russo, one of the best creative minds in the business, also steering that ship. I think it was the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, the word I got from TNA, this comes from D'Lo Brown himself, was me being Canadian was what prevented them from hiring me, even though D'Lo would bring me up in creative meetings. So Jeff always treated me great. I went to tons of their events. I just wanted to show up. So I went to like one they did here in London. I went to one in Buffalo. There's a few others I went to in the States, live events, just, trying to show up, just to show them, hey, I'm serious about this. You guys said I did your gut check. I passed with flying colors. You literally said the words, D'Lo, that you have a future with this company. So I was doing my part, and I said, I didn't care if I have to wipe out my bank account and, move down to Florida and just, be there and help y'all set up the ring. I wanted to be part of that company. And it was just a question of keep waiting. But unfortunately, the word finally came back saying, hey, you're Canadian. We're not hiring Canadians. If there's something you could do to change that, then, that would give you a future here. So that's been the tragic story of Jeremy Prophet. Has been my geography has been what has impeded my rightful rise in this business. But I've never given up. I've never gotten injured. I've never gotten discouraged. And that's the way it's always going to be, is I'm going to keep fighting for this till I make it, or die trying. That's all it is.
And the last thing we'll talk about is, I guess this is breaking news. Some fans have brought this up. Ric Flair and Mark Madden have parted ways on their podcast, and I guess they both insulted each other on Twitter. I never really listened to this podcast other than Twitter clips, because I follow Ric Flair on Twitter, and I am at the Hannibal TV on Twitter, as well as Devon Hannibal, DEVON HANNIBAL, if you want to follow us on there. But what do you think of this falling out between Mark Madden and Ric Flair after 30 years?
I mean, I don't know too much about Mark Madden. I know he was a commentator in WCW. Kind of always struck me as something of a loudmouth, kind of like a shock jock wannabe Howard Stern, just 400 pounds heavier. So I don't really know what to make about that. All I can say is I've met Ric Flair. Ric Flair was nothing but a gentleman to me. I met him in Charlotte, North Carolina, after he had wrestled Mick Foley on, I think it was Vengeance in 2007. And, he was still there, still had the bandage on his head from the cut that he had from the match. Blood was still dripping down the side of his head. And he was getting into an argument with the hotel staff, because I think he had rented out a room for some friends or some people who had come out of town. And he was cutting a Ric Flair promo on them. And, I was almost like, worried to approach him, because I wanted to meet him, because it's Ric Flair. He's a legend. And then he just completely flipped the switch, and he was just like, no, yep, I'll talk to you. You're from Canada. You came all the way here. It's a pleasure to meet you. The man was such a gentleman to me. And to me, that told me all I needed to know about Ric Flair. That I think I was maybe, I don't know how old I would have been at the time, but I was fairly young kid, approached him. I really just wanted, maybe to get some advice from him, maybe get a picture. And he was very kind to me, to a nobody. So that told me all I need to know about Ric Flair. So, in this situation with Mark Madden, I got to side with Flair. I think that Flair's a good dude. And, it's unfortunate that, people are turning their backs on him. I think that, it's a testament to any kind of friendship. When things are good, you'll have a lot of friends. And when things are rough, then you find out who your real friends are. You know all about that. And, I know about that too. So when it comes to Ric Flair, he'll always have my respect. Unlike the Lanny Poffos of this world, or maybe the Coco Bewares, because I heard he had him on the show recently too. Did he end up saying anything?
I didn't bring it up because that's so long ago, and he doesn't
Because
seem like he's in the best of times these days. So I didn't want to go there with
Because
him.
if I can do one thing and end on a positive note, is I'd like to clear the air on Coco Beware, and I've said it in a few other interviews, but I feel I was very rough on him, and I didn't know where he was in life. I didn't know what he was going through. So it's at a point where I'm not going to be bitter that he didn't want to do business with me. It's one of those things that to me it'd be water under the bridge, and I think that Coco Beware is a guy who, if you take the entirety of his legacy, if, at the very least, maybe his WWE accomplishments aren't that magnanimous, but as someone who wrestled in a rougher time period, as someone who made it to the WWE, as someone who did a lot for the Black community, Coco Beware, he's all right in my book. So now that I put it on record, all you other podcasts out there, stop asking me about Coco Beware, because I think he's a good dude.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I really felt for that story about Frankie passing away. It made me I can't have any hard feelings against Coco after hearing that. But I didn't bring up you or the story that Brian Blair told about the alleged rib with Terry Garvin, where they pretended like they were going to rape him or something. Which Brian Blair seems to tell some tall tales sometimes, so I don't know if that's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you got to take that with a very big grain of salt when it comes down to it. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm seeing the messages here, Lit Academy. Yeah, I hope I win too. And to all your viewers out there, I love going through this and reading the comments after, whether they're good, they're not. It's all the same to me. You gotta listen to the people who tell you things, whether it's good or bad, to know that you have your finger on the pulse. But if I'm not your cup of tea, understand that Jeremy Prophet is all about this. When you're good at something, you can't just shut up about it. You got to make noise, because too many people, and especially wrestlers in Canada, they have this inferiority complex. They think, oh, these guys on TV are so much better than us. I'm the kind of guy who's going to make noise until somebody takes notice. So yeah, I might not be your cup of tea. I might not be your stereotypical, independent wrestler, soft little snowflake independent wrestler. I'm a guy who is going to make a lot of noise. I'm kind of like the Kanye West or like the 50 Cent of Canadian independent wrestling. I'm the guy who's gonna make it or die trying, and I don't care how many people I have to diss, how many people I have to step in there with and prove my worth and show them that, hey, there is a guy in Canada that can put all of y'all to shame, and I will back that up. God is my witness. That is the God's blessed truth.
Very good. Is there anything you want to plug here before we shut it down?
Well, you can follow me online on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet, JeremyProphet. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Jeremy Prophet, spelled exactly the same way. You can see me on Jofo in the Ring. You can find our channel, subscribe to our channel. If we even had half a fraction of the subscribers that you have here on the Hannibal TV, we would be able to get that message out to so many more people and be able to make such a bigger impact. But we're working on that channel day in, day out, and you can see me in a bit of a different light. So when it comes down to it, Lit Academy right now, that's what I'm looking at. It's my big break. You can help me. So you can go onto the website, onto lit-academy.ca or wrestling-academy for the English site. I would assume the English one would probably be better. So Wrestling Academy. There's actually no dash in that one. I may have got that wrong, but anyways, one or the other. We'll be able to put it up on the screen, I'm sure. Go on there and you can vote. So just vote for Jeremy Prophet and vote for Jessica Black while you're at it too, because the fan vote is going to count for 60%. So if you guys want to see me put my money where my mouth is, vote me to the finals. Vote me to win Lit Academy, and you will get to see what I do. And I don't think there is a better representative for Canada, at least not one that's going to be as aggressive and cutthroat and by any means necessary going there to prove a point and show we have great talent here than me. I've already been doing it. Now it's time to take it to the next level. So you can cast that vote at lutacademy.ca or wrestling-academy.ca for Jeremy Prophet. My first round match is going to be May 14th. May 14th or May 15th. It might be the 15th. It's whatever the Sunday is. And from there, there's going to be another round, and then we're coming back to the semifinals, so I will advance to the semifinals, and then the finals will take place in August with QT Marshall as one of the guest judges. So, yeah, it's in the hands of the fans. I'm going to do my best to represent, but all I've ever asked for, like I said, is a level playing field, because the rest will be there. the rest will deliver. The rest will all fall into place because I don't make no false promises. I always deliver the truth.
And of course, September 3rd, you will be defending that title in Petawawa, Ontario, in the Ottawa Valley. Tickets are on sale at ticketweb.ca, and we'll be talking about that more as it gets closer. And Jeremy, I'll let you close this off however you want.
Well, I thank you all for joining me, and I hope that this has been enlightening or at the very least entertaining. This is coming from Jeremy Prophet, one of Canada's top talents, if not the top talent, a guy you're going to be hearing about very soon. So this is a bandwagon that hasn't exactly left the station, but it's one that's going to be leaving very, very soon. So if you want to get in on the ground floor before this explodes, much like a stock worth investing in, invest in Jeremy Prophet, especially if you're Canadian, because I will fight for you until the bitter or sweet end. And you can believe me, that will be a sweet end, and that is the truth.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos.